The federal government is about to run out of spending authority, meaning every federal activity Donald Trump deems not essential is shut down. If this happens, this would instantly lay off hundreds of thousands of federal bureaucrats, no DOGE required. In fact, the White House has already ordered federal agencies to, quote, prepare mass layoff plans, but also automatically defund an army of millions of left-wing NGOs. It would instantly balance the federal budget. Who knew it was that easy? So federal spending is voted 1 year at a time, and it runs out at midnight tomorrow. Republicans in Congress proposed extending spending, so-called clean continuing resolution. The Democrats demanded over $1 trillion in new money for health care for illegals, health care for able-bodied Medicaid recipients, along with refunding foreign aid, NPR, and PBS. In other words, demands they knew Republicans cannot accept. Now, last time we hit a shutdown in March, Democrats surrendered to protect their federal workers from DOGE. This time, it looks like the activists are forcing them to fight. Of course, Republicans should want a shutdown to slash the federal oligarchy, but they historically wimp out because legacy media always blames Republicans when government workers make shutdowns as painful as possible. Indeed, a passel of recent polls showed voters would disproportionately blame the GOP. One says 34% blame Republicans, 23% blame Dems, 34% blame both. Of course, media polls could be fake. The day before the 2024 election, polls had Trump at -9 approval. 24 hours later, he won the election. More important, done right, a shutdown should be popular. So historically, our occupying bureaucracy intentionally made shutdowns painful. They cut school lunches, threatened Social Security, closed national parks. In fact, they spend extra money to fence off national parks. There's actually a name for this, the Washington Monument Strategy, also known as Firemen First or School Lunches First. Thing is, it does not have to be this way. Trump alone gets to decide which parts are essential and therefore stay open. So keep the parks, keep the school lunches, fire the rest. In practice, that would be at least a third of the federal government shut down, the parts voters don't like. Then keep paying the essentials with incoming tax revenue. Now, this is not necessarily legal, but Democrats are not stupid enough to block Social Security checks and military pay for potentially months. So if they had a pair, Republicans in Congress would shut it down for years. This is fun for a number of reasons. First, shutting down a third of the federal government saves $200 billion per month. That would instantly balance the budget. In fact, we'd be in surplus. Even better, a durable shutdown lays off 740,000 federal workers, about 4 times what they did with DOGE. Note, federal grants also pay an estimated 3 million employees of overwhelmingly left-wing NGOs. Those